one of Boss Women of Houston. I'm your host, Miss Nikki. This show is presented to you by Bwh Entertainment. Our beautiful co-host, Miss Canicia Gaskin, will be facilitating the show. Thank you, Miss Canicia.
You're welcome. I would like to introduce the speaker of the hour. The topic will be over domestic violence, but I would like to introduce Miss Yamika Harmon. I would like to share a little bit of her story. In March 2002, Ms. Harmon moved to Houston to leave an abusive marriage. During that time, she obtained her EMT license, her medication license, and CNA license. While working on rebuilding herself, she realized that her goal was to teach women to love themselves. On April 26, 2018, Ms. Harmon formed Reviving Restoring Pearls. Her mission is to empower women to be all that God has designed them to be, to see themselves and love themselves for who God has created them to be. We have a voice and not just an echo. When I was reading your bio, Yamika, what really intrigued me was when you said, I wanted to be a fashion artist and a makeup artist. And the story you told of how you did it while you were dealing with domestic violence. Do you care to share that?
Sure. When you're going through domestic violence, then you can be a fashion designer, a makeup artist. You can even be a magician because going through domestic violence, your makeup artist, you're going to put makeup on to cover up the bruises. Fashion designer, you're going to wear big enough clothes, bulky clothes, where they won't see the bruises. And then Houdini is when you done had enough and you just disappear.
So when you were dealing with domestic violence, when did you learn or when did you notice the early signs to be able to label it as domestic violence?
Let me see, it was actually 3 months after me and him got together. I had went to the store to get some ice. We were doing a barbecue for his birthday, and my son was playing in the ice chest. And I come around and I heard him cursing my son, and I'm like, "No, we're not going to do that there." And then his voice, his voice, just the tone of his voice of what he told me, I'm like, "Wait, it's a little bit much right there." But then you go through the stages where they say, "I'm sorry." So you overlook it. And that's what I kept doing, was overlooking it.
Overlooking the issue. So when you noticed his voice change, did you notice that it changed in a way that it was aggressive?
Very aggressive.
So how did you feel at that moment?
To be honest with you, I really don't know. Because I was more concerned about the way he was talking to my son. I was more concerned about that because I had family members out there and a 9-year-old kid. Family's going to get involved in that. So I was more concerned about that.
So the signs when he started speaking to you like that, was it more of he was talking directly to you? It became abusive? Then it became where maybe throwing objects or anything like that?
Yes, ma'am. It was more of his voice was a tone where aggressive, very authoritative. As to say, you're going to listen to what I say. And then, as time went along, throwing objects, that happened. I can remember standing at the stove cooking, and if I wouldn't have moved, I would have got hit in the back of the head with a knife because he was standing by the refrigerator, and he just threw the knife, and when I moved it, landed in the wall.
So did you blame yourself? Was it ever a point that you blamed yourself, or you thought maybe if I do this different, that he won't be so angry and it won't be taken out on me?
I blame myself. I thought about doing things different, but then I wanted to keep the peace too. Due to the fact that my father and all, my brothers, I had a lot of brothers, and just keep the peace. Not wanting your family to get involved, but it got crazy because he started showing up on my job. He would take my clothes to the cleaners. If I go to the grocery store, he would call me. "Why didn't you tell me you was going to the grocery store? I would have went with you." Just nonsense, crazy stuff.
So at that point, did it ever seem like it was just certain triggers that would cause the violence?
This is the reason he told me. He didn't want another man looking at me.
Wow.
We could be in the store, and if another man looked at me, he got really upset.
And took it out on you.
Yeah. And to me, that's
So what made that pivotal change where you said enough was enough?
After he threw the knife at me, I had put him out of the house. And I was on my knees praying. I can remember that. I was on my knees praying, and I heard a loud noise. He had to kick the front door in, and he actually beat me while I was on my knees praying.
Wow.
And I knew I was going to die that night, but I'm like, okay, what can I do? Then I said, come on, let's pray together. God's going to fix this. God's going to fix this. But in the back of my mind, tomorrow morning, I'm out of here.
So at any time, because it seemed like it was repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
So at any time, did you say, okay, I love him, so I'm going to stay and I'm just going to trust his words?
You know what I can actually say is I stayed for security because of his job. I didn't, he took care of me well. I didn't want for anything, so I can honestly say, yes, I can honestly say that, yeah.
So when those type of things was happening, and he said, I won't hit you again, or this will never happen again, how did that forgiveness, did you really forgive him?
Oh no, it's just anger built up. Just anger.
Mm-hmm.
I was having thoughts of how I could set the house on fire. With him in it and watch it burn.
Mm-hmm. So at any point, did you ever feel like, if I just tell someone, or if I can just get this, because I know traditionally in certain cultures, they may say that let's keep it in a family because no one needs to know what's going outside our home.
Well, the only reason I didn't tell my family because of the love I had for my father when he was living and my brothers. I knew what would have happened, and I didn't want to be the cause of my daddy going to jail or my brothers going to jail.
So you were really, even though you were hurt, you were still in protection mode.
Oh yeah, I had to protect my dad and my brothers because I knew what the outcome would be.
Did you at any point believe that it affected your family, your children?
I think in a certain way, it might have affected them because they became like withdrawn. They became very withdrawn, but and though those wasn't his kids, this was my second marriage, and it lasted 6 months, and I was out of there, and I couldn't allow my kids to actually. It really didn't happen when they were there. They were never there when it happened.
So his demeanor was different when he was in
front of totally different. He was so loving and caring.
Behind closed doors.
He was a devil in disguise, honey.
So at any point during that time when you said, okay, I wanted to leave out, did you ever make a decision that I'm leaving, but you stayed?
I'm going to tell you when I made the decision. When I hit him with the car, I knew I had to leave.
You made a decision to hit him with the car?
Oh, yeah.
What brought that about? Anger, frustrated. And no woman can beat a man. And so I seen him walking down the street and rage just came upon me and I hit him with my car. Because at that point you had enough.
I had enough.
So what did all of this do to you? How did it make you feel as a woman being treated that way?
Did I deserve it? I never lost my self-esteem because I knew who I was. I never lost that. Mm-hmm. But it's like it made me not trust men. Maybe not trust men. And I didn't want to get involved with anyone else because I just didn't trust men at that point. Because they tell you one thing, but do they really mean it? Or are they telling you what you want to hear?
So that's stemmed in your trust issues with people. So how was it with having relationships, building relationships with others because of what stemmed from domestic violence?
I'm still kind of like I don't have a lot of relationships, and that's just me because I want my peace. I moved here and I got peace, and I'm gonna protect my peace at all costs.
Okay. Well, at this time we'll go to a commercial break, and we'll be back. Welcome back to Boss Women of Houston. Thank you, Miss Yamika, for sharing some of your story, and we will return back to you. But at this time, I would like to speak with Miss Nikki because I believe you had similarities that you would like to share. And this being your first time sharing, and we commend you because that takes courage. So I'll let you share some of the similarities that you
Okay.
exposed to.
My story is similar but a little bit different. At the time I went through my abuse, I was young. I had just lost my two girls' father. He was a innocent bystander in a drive-by shooting. And so the gentleman, my abuser, was he grew up across the street from me, so he was actually somebody that I trusted. You know, we were friends, and I was sheltered my whole life, so I didn't grow up around abuse. You know, so actually neither did he. So I didn't see any signs of abuse coming. So, but at any rate, I had just lost my girl's father, and he was, like I said, a good friend. And it wasn't until I was 5 months pregnant with me and his first child that I realized not only was he an abuser, but he was addicted to drugs. So I had never been around anybody that was on drugs either. So what happened was he it was around Christmas time. I was about 5 months pregnant, and he had bought me some rings for Christmas. And this is when the abuse started because I had never seen any signs of abuse. So what he did was I was walking to the kitchen, and he threw a starch can at me. He picked a fight with me, and that was his way of trying to get the rings back that he had given me. So he picked a fight with me, and the townhouse that we were living in, we had long windows in the kitchen. And so he came and he was trying to take the rings. And now I'm 5 months pregnant. He's trying to take the rings off my fingers. So the more he would try to take the rings, the more swell my fingers would get. So he couldn't get the rings off my fingers. So he got so mad, he kicked me through the window. That was my first episode. He kicked me through the glass window. So that was my first episode of abuse. Um, and it from there, it started getting worse. I have like these scars on my eyes. You can probably never see them. He would abuse me to the point where he would beat me so bad that my eyes would be closed like golf balls.
So, what do you believe triggered the abuse?
Like I said, I had never been in a situation like that. So, probably drugs. You know what I'm saying? Drugs. Like I said, I had never been around anybody with drugs. He would manipulate me. Um, he would kidnap my son when I finally did have my son. As my son got older, he would still kidnap him. My son used to chew his fingernails down. I'm about to cry. He would chew his fingernails down. I ended up having to take my son to MHMRA, and I found out one of the times that he kidnapped my son, he left my son under a bridge overnight, and my son said that he whooped him for peeing on himself. And he said that his dad told him not to move, and he said that some dogs came under the bridge, and he was so afraid that he peed on himself. And so the psychiatrist asked him, why didn't he tell me? Because when they came out, and it hurt me so bad just to know that my son was under the bridge, probably calling for me, you know. So, but he said he didn't tell me because he didn't want his dad to beat up his mom.
So I believe that a lot of people don't understand that domestic violence stems more than physical, and it's really emotional, and it takes a lot of healing to deal with. Well, I won't say deal with, to cope with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure it affected your son as well. But at one point, did you realize that hey, I'm in a domestic violence situation and it's time for me to take action to be able to
Well,
help
in my
myself?
situation, it was hard because we had those were his kids too. Because I have two kids from him, and he started raping me, and I had to sleep with two pair of pants on to keep him from having sex with me against my will. Like a lot of people always say, "Oh, you're so pretty." I don't keep mirrors in my house because I didn't see beauty when I looked in the mirror. I saw abuse. You know, I take a million pictures now because I'm comfortable enough in my skin to, you know what I'm saying. But I went through this alone. Like this is my first time actually. My family didn't know what I went through. I was pregnant by him before during one of the rapes. I didn't know that I was pregnant, and we had a waterbed, and he actually, I guess he was on one of his binges. He beat me with the bumpers of the waterbed, and I had a miscarriage, and he wouldn't even call the ambulance. So my situation, he stalked me. So wherever I moved, like it would take him a while to find. Like he had left. I hadn't seen him in like a month, so I decided I'm gonna get rid of some of his things, and he saw me getting rid of his things, and I remember it pouring down raining, and he knocked on my door and he was like, I just want to get my stuff. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to hurt you. And I just want to get my stuff. So I opened the door, but he watched me put his stuff in the dumpster. So what he did was he was like, when I opened the door, you know, he had
way
me
to get back in.
Well, no, he had me to go get his stuff out the dumpster. And what he did was, you know, the dumpsters had the gates. He threw me in the dumpster. So I mean, I dealt with so much, and wasn't something that you could just. I was too embarrassed. I didn't know how to call my family and tell them. You know what I'm saying? I didn't. I just didn't know how to get out of the. I just didn't know how to get out of the situation. And once I did, finally, I started working at a drug treatment facility, and they had counselors there. And the crazy part is, some of the women didn't think that I could understand what they were going through because I've never been on drugs, but I was with somebody who was on drugs. And H Town had a song out called Jezebel. And I used to go back and just listen to the song all the time. Girl, keep your head up. You can do it. You can do it. And me being a single mother, I would always I started staying on the second floor everywhere I moved because one day he broke a window and pulled my son through the broke window. So I mean, it's easier said, you know what I'm saying, than done, because he would once I found out he was on drugs, he would say, if you call the police, I'm gonna tell them I wouldn't let you get me high. So at the time, like she said, you more worried about your children. Yes. Than you are about yourself. So
we will basically say sometimes a abuser will use manipulation and try to mess with your mental stability.
Yes. So that's what he did. He was a master manipulator.
So how did it make you feel while you were going through that?
I kind of I remember it was a couple times, like he kicked my door in once, and I had bought a gun. And when I pulled the gun out, he picked my son up and used my son as a shield. Yes. And so I just felt like suicide was my only way out. And my children were playing in the room. I'm trying not to cry. My children were playing in the room, and I got in the tub, and I just decided I was just gonna shoot myself in the tub. And I think that had I not heard my kids playing, I probably would have committed suicide. But I didn't want my kids to find me.
Well, I'm grateful you survived.
God works in mysterious ways. I'm grateful. So what was that moment where you said enough was enough? How did you transition from the abuse?
He ended up going to jail. he ended up going to jail. Once I started working for the state at the place, I ended up filing a restraining order because once they kidnapped your son, well, I guess that's what I meant to say. When he started kidnapping my son, when I would call the police, they said it's not kidnapping because that's his biological child. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard. You know what I'm saying? And
trying to fight the system.
And I would go from door to door in apartment complexes in the area with a picture of my son. You know what I'm saying? And trying to find my son. So I mean, it's uh, and you know, and I never talked about him to my kids, even like on holidays when my sons, as they were growing up, I would still buy gifts and put his name on it. Like if I bought clothes or something, I would put my name. But boy stuff that father should buy, I would put his name on it. And his dad was like, "Stop doing that. That's lying to your children."
You were still trying to protect
my kids,
your kids, with the image of your father still available. He's still accessible.
Yes.
And I think it's amazing, you two, how you both are still thinking of your children, even though you're going through that. Because one thing about a woman is that they will harbor the pain in order to make sure their children is okay. They will harbor the pain to make sure that I don't care what I'm going through, I got to show the world that I'm okay. Because this is the image. I have to be strong. And in reality, when you're raised that you have to be strong for your kids, I find it that we have a tendency to say, you know what, I can suffer a little bit longer because I want the happiness of my children. I can take this abuse because I don't want to break up a happy home. I've been a victim of this, and I've been a victim of my surroundings and circumstances. So I commend you both. We will go on this commercial break just to gather ourselves back so we can come back and show how these ladies of strength has transitioned and made an empowerment movement after the abuse that they have endured. We'll be right back.
Are you having child support issues? Are you going through a divorce? Are you going through a custody battle? I know that your family, children, and property are very important to you, and having to navigate through the legal system is probably one of the most difficult experiences you will have to encounter in your lifetime. Please call the Jones Law Firm at 713-222-0196. The Jones Law Firm is committed to helping you in your time of need. Call 713-222-0196 to schedule a consultation today.
Welcome back to Boss Women of Houston, and I'm speaking with Miss Nikki and Miss Yamika over domestic violence. And I just want to commend you ladies again, and I also want to know, how did you overcome the domestic violence, the abuse, and how are you functioning today?
Well, sitting here listening to her story, the only thing I didn't go through was kids being kidnapped, but the physical part, you being kicked through a window, I'm being beat with lamps, having knives thrown at me, just reliving that pain. The pain as a mother trying to protect her kids.
So what are y'all doing now? How are you functioning? How are you inspiring other women? What are you doing now to say, hey, enough is enough, and you don't have to go through this by yourself? Because I'm here, and I'm going to walk you through this process.
With my thing, God is so funny. After everything that this guy put me and my kids through, I kept my distance from him for over 20 years. And he got married, and he ended up getting his life together. He became a truck driver, and but he ended up really, really sick to where he needed to go to hospice, and he didn't have anywhere to go. When the hospital told him that he was dying, his wife left him, and the only person that he could call was me.
So and now forgiveness is real.
And when my son came and said the hospital needs somewhere for him to go for the weekend, and I said, God, what did I do in another life? I know you tested me.
No, you were actually delivered. You were delivered.
And so I said, well, I don't want this man to die without me forgiving him, for
forgiveness is for you.
Yeah. So exactly. So I did forgive him, and he ended up, overcoming whatever. He didn't die, thank God. But he didn't die. But I don't think that you could ever overcome domestic abuse, because I went through manipulation, one thing I can say is mental scars are worse than physical scars because there's certain. If I go to the dentist, there's certain medications I can't take because it bring up subconscious memories. When I go to sleep at night, I listen to like the rainforest or something. I can't listen to domestic.
You try to capture
I have
peace.
to. I have to capture my peace. I can't look at stuff with domestic violence on it. So,
And just in case, manipulation, something that I used to teach on, it means to play upon by artful, unfair, or insidious means for one's own advantage. That means that they're trying to get into your mind to make you feel less than or inferior to where they can feel some type of dominance over you. So trying to captivate yourself by listening to Rainforest and Peace. So what are the things that you say from this point that I'm going to do to move forward so I can help somebody else? Because I know Miss Yamika has the reviving.
Well,
No.
actually, what I did was, I'm the CEO of my own company, Bwh Entertainment, and we got together this program, Boss Women of Houston, to uplift other women. I wanted to start a program called Women Against Abuse. So I said if I ever got into a position where I could help other women, I would. And just so happened, Miss Yamiki came, Cliche, and that's how we came about. Cliche ended up wanting me to get on the yacht party. She invited me, and we missed it, and we ended up on Boss Women of Houston. So,
Right.
But
So
you know
tell
what?
us about
Actually, you helping women now because you just now speaking about it. You upfront about it, where millions of people can see it. So you letting a lady know, you know what, you can do it. You can get out. You can survive.
That's strong.
Yeah.
and one more thing, I was someone watched my company grow, a New York magazine in New York, and she interviewed Lil Flip, which is my godson, and my brother AJ, which is he was part of Thug Mafia, and he's also Flip's publicist. And so she was like, I've been watching your company grow. Do you think, that they would have a problem with me doing a collaboration in Houston and New York? And I was like, no. So I didn't want my article to be about them. I wanted it to be about my journey. And I just told her little snippets of what I went through. And she was like, you're a strong woman. I didn't tell her, like,
You're talking now.
what I'm talking now. And I prayed about it. I was like, what am I going to talk about? And I prayed about it, and it was the subject was when only God can hear you. And so I just want other women to know that your prayers are not going unanswered. God does hear you.
And just like my motto is, you have a voice. Not just an echo. So use your voice. Let your voice be heard.
So tell us about your nonprofit.
Okay, Revive and Restoring Pearls. What we actually do is we find resources and give to ladies that need resources if they need a safe place. We'll put them up in a hotel. Actually, I have ladies that came stay with me. We offer self-defense. Oh God, we do so much. We have Christian counseling. If they have kids, we make sure the kids have clothes, diapers, whatever they need, we there for them. But the most important thing we do is listen. And that's the best thing. You listening to us express the pain that we've been through. And that's what any survivor wants. They want to be heard. Just listen to me. Listen at what I'm saying. And my prayer is that God will allow us to go to the rural areas that women think there's no hope, there's no help. And it is. And that's what I want to do.
Again, I want to commend you ladies for all that you've done. I've never experienced domestic violence, but I have seen and witnessed individuals experience it. But you two have both showed us what to look for, how a person that's going through it has endured. And I commend you because out of the pain, you have birthed promises to help individuals. You started your own company. You started this whole TV series. And then you have a nonprofit. You got Humanitarian of the Year again. Woo! I mean, you turned that pain into purpose, and that means everything. Also, she has a journal, a reflection affirmation journal called Reviving Restoring pearls. So if you're interested in purchasing this journal, it has a lot of valuable information in here, from testimonies to where you can write your own affirmations and incidents where you have been through something. Just reach out to Miss Yamika Harmon and we'll have the information for you. But again, y'all, I commend you both.
And that's just one thing I want to say is that one thing that women and a lot of people don't know is that there's another sign that we don't look for. You don't have, okay, per se that lady don't have any kids. That man is abusing her, but she has a pet. She has a dog or a cat. She loves that pet. Well, he's gonna hurt that pet because he can't get to her. You know, and that's a sign.
And you know, I want to say this, and I'm saying it with a smile on my face. She has been my encourager, my inspiration for 20 years. And you never knew why, and you would always speak, and this is part of the reason, because you were always so strong, and I was dealing with this. I just never said anything to you about it. And I'm pretty sure if I had said something to you at work about it, you would have helped me. But this is part of the reason that you have always motivated me and inspired me. And through the years, right, I always have told her, and she's and she's the reason that I was like, I need you to come be on the show with me.
And you know, like when I first started talking to you, I said, you're beautiful. You're beautiful. Keep your head up. You're beautiful, baby.
Yeah, we commend these beautiful ladies for the courage that they have endured and the strength that they have displayed. Again, I commend you ladies, and I appreciate your time and sharing your story. This is Boss Women of Houston. Until next time, love, peace, and unity.